Coming up, a crash in Crawford County claims the life of a Missouri man.
We remain quiet and warm here in the 4 states, but down in Florida, they're looking at a Category 3 hurricane on its way, the latest coming up.
And we take a sneak peek at Joplin's Dream Theater Troupe's latest production.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. I've got a lot to dive into with Hurricane Ian. Went Category 3 this morning, and upgrade from Category 2. Went Category 1 yesterday morning, and it is intensifying rapidly. In fact, that's it on our Skywatch storm tracker. Now, as the eye came ashore in Cuba, it's making landfall in western Cuba right now. It became occluded in the clouds, but you can very clearly see it on the radar image there as this storm continues to track off to the north, and it'll eventually start to turn slightly northeasterly. So we've got hurricane warnings for the lighter red colors and tropical storm warnings for the dark red colors. So this hurricane warning stretched from Tampa down to Fort Myers. And here's Hurricane Ian on the latest. Right now, winds at 125 miles an hour. It is 5 miles an hour shy of becoming a Category 4 storm as it continues to move back into the Gulf of Mexico. Its track right now is one that's causing a lot of concern for folks, especially in Florida and down south, as right now it's looking to hit Tampa head on. First time in about a century that they've been hit head on by a major hurricane. Wow. So certainly a very dangerous, concerning situation there, looking like it'll be about a Category 3 by the time it reaches the Tampa area. So we're talking winds 120 plus, gusts of 150, if not more. Now here on the local level, we are calm. In fact, most of the lower 48 calm with the exception of Florida. 53 degrees in Joplin right now. We've got decent temperatures across the area, more fall-like. 49 Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, 48 Pittsburgh, 51 in Carthage as we start the day. Allergy count continuing to go down. Now tomorrow it goes up a little bit. 5.7 out of 12 today, 5.9 out of 12 for tomorrow, but still a lot more manageable. 49 clear skies when the kids get on the bus. And it'll warm up. 82 in clear skies by the time they get off the bus. And as we go through the rest of the day, mostly sunny skies. 87 for an afternoon high, so warmer than what we should be for this time of year. But our overnight lows are right about where they should be. We'll be dropping back down to 53 under mostly clear skies. We're going to take a look at our 7-day forecast here shortly. And, of course, continue to update you on Ian as it moves offshore of Cuba and back into the Gulf, where it's got some warm waters to feed off of, and it'll continue to intensify down there. So, and by the way, it's expected at this point to make landfall in Tampa around 3:30 in the morning our time. So we'll of course have the latest on the KOAM morning news on Thursday morning. We've got just a little bit more time left, but it'll be early Thursday morning when it's expected to make landfall.
We'll be keeping a close eye on that, that's for sure. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a 2-car crash in Crawford County claims the life of a Missouri man. Authorities responded to the crash Saturday, just 2 miles north of K-126. They say Edward Nutt was driving east on East 570th Avenue, north of K-26, when he ran a stop sign and hit a car driven by 19-year-old Rigby Bourne of Girard. Nutt died at the scene, and Bourne had serious injuries. One man is dead following a crash in Berry County, Missouri. Authorities say 53-year-old Dale Roller of Cassville was driving on Highway 76 in Cassville when he crossed the center line and struck another car head-on. He died at the scene. Missouri House Speaker urges the U.S. Attorney in Kansas City to shut down a GAPE boarding school, accusing the Christian school of, quote, what amounts to organized crime against children. Republican Rob Vesco sent a letter to U.S. Attorney Teresa Moore. Vesco wrote that state efforts to close the school have failed, and the local prosecutor has failed to take action to protect the boys who attend the school in Stockton. He says the situation is more far-reaching and contains more deeply rooted corruption than we are able to address solely at the state level. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt's office accused the school of allowing someone on the state registry for child and abuse and neglect to work there and alleged systemic abuse. Joplin's Dream Theater Troupe is almost ready for its next production, and later this week the troupe will perform The Haunting of Hill House. It's based on the novel by Shirley Jackson about a small group of people who were brought to Hill House, which is known as a place of evil, in order to research it.
So it is an original Gothic horror where the house is the main bad guy or the villain, but we really kind of twisted it and we took it more spook house or haunt style with it than the true Gothic horror style. So you actually get to interact with actual ghosts. You will not just hear what's happening, but you actually get to see and have those interactions.
Performances will be on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all starting at 7:30 p.m. General admission is $15. Crossroads Christian Church in Cherokee County, Kansas hosts a community baby shower. The event was held by My Family of Cherokee County, welcomed expecting mothers and mothers with infants up to 3 months old. The baby shower had resources and education materials for parenting and lots of prizes.
So we do the cutoff at 3 months in case they missed one of our last baby showers, because when we just do expecting moms, we usually have them twice a year, and we want to make sure that everybody can get the resources and information that they need, even if they missed the cutoff from our last baby shower.
The event started at 12:30 p.m. and lasted for a couple of hours. On Monday, Pitt State hosted a guest with a unique story. Sarah Dykman followed the entire 10,201-mile migration route of monarch butterflies on her bicycle. Wow, she's the first person to do that. And yesterday, she stopped at PSU to share her story and speak about her bird.
It's really empowering to see people care, and it's exciting for me because just me going to do presentations, I can only reach, a small amount of people. But with this book, I'm able to reach so many more corners, and I've gotten my favorite emails are the ones where they said, "Oh, I cried when I read your book," because that means, oh, they feel what I felt.
Dykman's book about her journey is called Bicycling with Butterflies, My 10,201-Mile Journey Following the Monarch Migration. Well, some Pitt State students got a chance to meet with real professionals on Monday. The students met with the Joplin Tri-State Institute of Management Accountants chapter. They offer continuing education, networking opportunities, and professional development.
Faces again, and we're slowly building it back up. So we're trying to be more consistent so that we can see those faces regular. But yes, I was just telling someone a moment ago that this is my favorite event all year, getting to see the students, because I think it's the most important work that we do as part of the IMA.
The meet and greet was part of Pitt State's Student Night. Well, getting a new officer on the police force is typically welcome news to a community. It's a little sweeter when that new officer is a canine. Southwest City Police Department announced its new canine officer, Rocco. Rocco is a special addition to the force because he is the city's first canine. The handler says Rocco is going to be a very busy dog.
And then we started doing narcotics detection, which consisted of a lot of building searches, a lot of hide and finds kind of stuff. And then we went into his apprehension work, which was a whole nother ball game unto itself.
Businesses and private citizens raised more than $21,000 to help bring in Rocco and train a handler.
All right, our 7-day forecast remaining calm and dry. Temperatures hovering around the 80s. We drop back into the 70s for a couple of days before the 80s do make a return. They are a little bit warmer than what we should be this time of year, but our overnight lows are actually almost right on the money for this time of year. So some warmer days, mostly clear skies, and otherwise not bad overnight. So we do need rain. Unfortunately, there's none on this forecast right now. We're still watching some rain chances, hopefully by the middle of next week.
Good thing is those are nice temperatures.
Yeah, at least the weather's bearable if you've got to be outside doing things. Now's the time to get some projects done, get some work done around the house. So
sounds good. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Carthage and Nevada take each other on at the Diamond. We'll have if Carthage kept its win streak against Nevada or not.
Plus, it's fall allergy season. We've been talking about it. We've got some tips for you on how to handle it.
And alongside allergy season is flu season. We take you to Newton County to discuss how the flu season is looking locally this year. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
The Carthage Tigers kick off the week on the road facing Nevada yesterday afternoon. Carthage entering the game with a 12-12 record. These two teams have met once already this season. Back in August, Carthage beat Nevada 13-1. First inning, runners on second and third. Alexis Smith slips it through the gap in left, and both base runners score, so it's 2-0 Carthage. Later, Jenna Calhoun at bat now, and she hits it deep to center field. But Kara Phillips is there to make the catch at the fence. And to the seventh, Landry Cochran knocks it into left. Calhoun rounds third and slides home. Carthage extends its lead. Later in the inning, Youngblood pokes it to right. Cochran scores. Carthage picks up the road win over Nevada, 6-2. Pitt State continues to climb the national rankings. The Gorillas hung on to beat Emporia State 14-13 this past weekend. They're now 4-0 to start the season. Pitt State jumps up 4 spots to number 10 in the latest AFCA Division II coaches poll. The Gorillas are the highest-ranked MIAA school. Northwest dropped from 2 to 12 this week following their loss to Central Oklahoma. Nebraska Kearney sits at 23. Pitt State has a big test coming up this week, hosting Missouri Southern. The Lions are 3-1 on a 3-game winning streak. Missouri Southern's Coleman Booker earns MIAA honors. The East Newton alum is named the Defensive Athlete of the Week. Booker helped Southern to a 25-24 win over Fort Hays this past Saturday. Tallied 7 tackles and forced a fumble. He also recovered 2 fumbles, including the game-sealing recovery late in the 4th quarter. We've hit the midway point of the regular season for Kansas high school football, and Parsons is a perfect 4-0. The Vikings have been voted the performance of the week. Parsons erupted for a season-high 61 points this past Friday. They handed Baxter Springs its first loss of the year in a 61-8 blowout win. Vikings offense now averaging 49 points per game. They faced some adversity. Parsons dealing with a handful of injuries, but they haven't let that slow them down.
It's been tough for us, but you know we have to have that next man up mentality. Depth matters, and I think that's also how you practice and provide those second and third team guys reps and practice to make sure that they're ready to step in there in those roles. So you know we've got several guys that can step up that are backups right now and be able to play a crucial role on a Friday night.
We all have worked hard for it, and we've been out here every single day putting in the work.
The Chiefs are set to play the Bucs on Sunday Night Football this week. Tampa Bay and the NFL are discussing contingency plans for practice, as well as the possible relocation of next weekend's game against the Chiefs in the event Hurricane Ian makes landfall on Florida's Gulf Coast. Coach Todd Bowles said that the situation is being monitored, but that talks are underway about what will happen if the storm makes landfall near the Tampa Bay area. Bowles said one thing under discussion is the possibility of practicing in another city. Still to come, the people of Japan flock to mourn former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Plus, another look at that forecast and the latest on Hurricane Ian when the KOAM Morning News returns. All right, we are watching Hurricane Ian as it churns across the western side of Cuba this morning. Winds now upwards of 125 miles an hour. That makes it a Category 3 hurricane. It also puts it 5 miles an hour away from being a Category 4 storm. Over the coast of the west side of Cuba now, expected to enter into the Gulf of Mexico, and then it tracks right for Tampa. It's expected to intensify to a Category 4 storm and should be a Category 3 by the time it hits Tampa head on. Now, Tampa hasn't had a head-on hit from a major hurricane in about 100 years. And when it does make landfall, we're looking at 120 mile an hour plus winds and gusts upwards of 150 miles an hour. So certainly a scary situation for those in Florida. If you have family down there, make sure they're taking precautions and, if possible, they're getting out of the area before the storm gets there. In our neck of the woods, it's a totally different story. Very calm, very quiet, and it will remain that way for a while. 53 degrees in Joplin right now. We've got some 40s up to the north, say Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, Pittsburgh, Stockton, Greenfield, and then some 50s elsewhere. 51 Parsons, Columbus, Carthage, 50 Neosho, and 46 in Grove and Anderson this morning. We talked about allergies earlier. We've got more on that in Health Watch as well. But the good news is counts are down a little bit, 5.7 out of 12 today, up a wee bit tomorrow to a 5.9 out of 12. But the long-range pollen count forecast shows we're those numbers are going to drop a little more. Kids get on the bus this morning, bit chilly but seasonable, clear and 49. Then we get unseasonably warm, but not hot, just warm. 82 by 3 o'clock, mostly clear skies. Going through the rest of the day, we will remain mostly sunny. The afternoon high of 87 degrees. Heading into tonight, mostly clear, then overnight low of 53 degrees. And on the 7-day forecast, you can see where we get back into the 70s for a couple of days for the lower to mid 80s return. So again, our afternoon highs are a bit off pace for what they should be this time of year. However, our overnight lows are just about on par for where we should be for this time of year, and we're otherwise mostly clear. Every year in the U.S., as many as 60 million people suffer from symptoms of allergies. I may have lied to you a minute ago. We're talking about allergies right now. This time of year, ragweed and molds are typically out in full force, and it can wreak havoc on your health. Mandy Gaither has more on how to recognize when you're suffering from fall allergies and tips on how to deal with them.
It's officially fall. That means color-changing leaves, pumpkins, and apple picking, but also seasonal allergies.
Patients will think that they have colds, but the thing about these colds are they are every single year.
Dr. Sandra Hong, an allergist at Cleveland Clinic, says that's one way to know you're dealing with allergies. You can also tell by common symptoms, including a stuffy or runny nose, itchiness, watery eyes, and sneezing.
It happens for more than a couple weeks. It'll go on for seasons at a time.
Dealing with allergies may start with your pet, especially if they go outside.
If you are sleeping with them, you are basically sleeping with some weeds that are outdoors. So I usually ask my patients to keep the pets out of their bedroom, especially during their really big times of the year.
Hong says there are 3 ways to ease allergies, including over-the-counter treatments like nasal spray and antihistamines. An allergy shot can help, and Hong says you can also avoid what triggers symptoms.
Make sure their windows are closed and don't dry any clothing outside, and make sure that when they come in, they take a shower or they wash their hair if they can to get all of that pollen off of them.
If none of this works for you, Hong says go see an allergist because there are other therapies that can be used.
Hong says many people may not even realize they suffer from allergies, but she says being aware of them and taking action to help your symptoms can make you feel better. That brings us to our something to talk about this morning. Do you suffer from allergies? I'm fortunate enough that I do not, but we want you to vote yes or no. Do so at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, or you can scan that QR code, get our app, and vote that way. And of course, you can take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. Maybe share some of your own tips on how you deal with the allergies that you suffer from. We're back with Health Watch for real this time after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, flu season is around the corner, and experts say we need to prepare soon. Doctors usually consider the start of the flu season to be October. KOAM's Yana Hadula discussed flu season with Newton County experts as COVID numbers are down compared to last fall.
The severity of the flu season cannot be predicted before it actually begins. Now, people are getting back to their normal lives as COVID numbers remain lower. That means flu could spread easier.
Basing it on the last couple of years, I would say it should be pretty light. But with COVID decreasing the flu, we may see an increase.
According to a local pharmacy, October might be the best month to get your flu vaccine, so it will cover you through the whole winter.
Bad flu cases start maybe February, and so that will ensure that they get good protection in that time, but that the protection hasn't started to decline.
Mitchell's Pharmacy has adult and high-dose vaccines as well as preservative-free vaccine for pregnant or nursing mothers. Butler says people tend to get vaccinated when cases start to increase.
It's good to start planning now that we haven't heard a lot of cases yet, so now is a really good time to get the vaccine.
The severity of the flu can depend on a few factors.
So I really think it depends on, how close the vaccine matches the circulating strains and how many people come in and get their vaccine.
The Newton County Health Department administrator says people can take both COVID booster and flu vaccine on the same day.
If you need the COVID booster and a flu vaccine, it is okay to take those on the same day at the same time. CDC does recommend that, and so it's fine. There's nothing to worry about. If you need both of those vaccines, you can get them.
Berner recommends you to get tested if you have symptoms to determine if it's flu or COVID. In Neosho, Yana Haudala, KOAM News.
A Newton County Health Department hopes to have flu vaccines in about a week. The Joplin Health Department says they have vaccines available now. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And a quick check of your forecast this morning. We are looking at mostly sunny skies. We will warm up eventually to 87, be 75 by noon, 82 at 5, 70 by 8 o'clock tonight. And we will keep those clear skies heading into tonight. 65 at 11, 58 at 2 a.m. and heading for an overnight low of 53 degrees. Our 7-day forecast, unfortunately, no rain in the picture, which we do need. But at least if you've got outdoor activities or plans, now's the time to get them done. We stay warm for most of the week with clear skies, and our overnight lows remain relatively seasonable. More right after this.
Coming up, a crash in Crawford County claims the life of a Missouri man.
Hurricane Ian, now Category 3, expected to go Category 4 later today. The latest on that and our local weather coming up.
And we take a sneak peek at Joplin's Dream Theater Troupe's latest production.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. Come Thursday morning, Hurricane Ian is going to be one of the main things that we are ultimately talking about as it is set to make landfall in Florida very early Thursday morning, about 3:30 our time, approximately. Right now, it's over western Cuba, which you can see on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, a very well-defined eye on that radar. Now, the cloud cover filled in once it made landfall, but it's a very powerful hurricane, Category 3. So it's harder to see on this map, but that lighter red color along the coast from Tampa to Fort Myers, those are hurricane warnings through Friday morning. The darker red in the good chunk of Florida, those are tropical storm warnings. Hurricane Ian, this is what it looks like right now. Category 3 hurricane, winds at 125 miles an hour. When those winds reach 130, it becomes a Category 4 hurricane, making it a major hurricane. So this is its track right now as it's over the western edge of Cuba. It's going to head back into the Gulf, intensify, and then it's expected to weaken to a Category 3 just before landfall at Tampa, and it's taking a direct aim at Tampa. So a very dangerous and scary situation for folks down there, and we'll, of course, continue to watch it as it gets closer to Florida. In our area, 53 degrees, clear skies, Joplin, 49, Iola, 46, Fort Scott, and 51 in Carthage. Allergy sufferers, good news. The count is low again today, 5.7 out of 12. A little higher tomorrow, 5.9 out of 12. Kids getting on the bus, it's going to be mostly clear, a little cool, 49 degrees. Still clear this afternoon at 382 for the temperature, and we will be mostly sunny today with an afternoon high of 87 degrees. And tonight, a very seasonable low despite unseasonably warm afternoon temperatures as we drop back down to 53 under mostly clear skies. We've got another look at your 7-day forecast here in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds like a plan. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a 2-car crash in Crawford County claims the life of a Missouri man. Authorities responded to a crash Saturday just 2 miles north of K126. They say Edward Nutt was driving east on East 570th Avenue north of K126 when he ran a stop sign and hit a car driven by 19-year-old Rigby Bourne of Girard. Nutt died at the scene. Bourne had serious injuries. One man is dead following a crash in Berry County, Missouri. Authorities say 53-year-old Dale Roller of Cassville was driving on Highway 76 in Cassville when he crossed the center line and struck another car head-on. He died at the scene. Some Pitt State students got a chance to meet with real professionals on Monday. The students met with the Joplin Tri-State Institute of Management Accountants chapter. They offer continuing education, networking opportunities, and professional development.
I really hope that they walk away with an idea of really what management accounting is about. And then the opportunities, there's some certifications that you can get through the IMA. So just exposure to that. There's scholarships that we can help provide. So really just exposure so that they know what resources are out there.
The meet and greet was part of Pitt State's student night. Getting a new officer on the police force is typically welcome news to a community. It's a little sweeter when that new officer is a canine. Southwest City Police Department announced its new canine officer, Rocco. Rocco is a special addition to the force because he is the city's first canine.
Traffic in and out of other states. We have a lot of drug traffic come through our community. And that'll be main part. He's also going to be trained in tracking. He's not quite there yet. He is on suspect apprehension, so if we have a runner, he's the fastest one in the crew.
Businesses and private citizens raised more than $21,000 to help bring in Rocco and train a handler. Well, Pitt State hosts a guest with a unique story. Sarah Dykman followed the entire 10,201-mile migration route of monarch butterflies on her bicycle. She's the first person to do that. And yesterday she stopped at PSU to share her story.
People are looking for an adventure. I think following the monarchs is a great way to do it. And one of the beautiful things is you don't have to go thousands of miles. Like literally a trip to the park right now in Pittsburgh is when the monarchs are migrating. So you're biking with butterflies when you go to the park.
Dykman also wrote a book about the journey. Joplin's Dream Theater Troupe is almost ready for its next production, and later this week the troupe will perform The Haunting of Hill House. It's based on the novel by Shirley Jackson about a small group of people who are brought to Hill House, which is known as a place of evil, in order to research it.
So it is an original Gothic horror where the house is the main bad guy or the villain, but we really kind of twisted it and we took it more spook house or haunt style with it than the true Gothic horror style. So you actually get to interact with actual ghosts. You will not just hear what's happening, but you actually get to see and have those interactions.
Performances will be on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all starting at 7:30 p.m. General admission is $15. Well, this morning we're discussing fall allergies.
It's officially fall, and that means color-changing leaves, pumpkins, and apple picking, but also, as we've discussed over the last couple of weeks, seasonal allergies.
Some people think they have colds, but really they're suffering from allergies. Now, a way to tell is by the symptoms: a stuffy or runny nose, itchiness, watery eyes, and sneezing.
There are 3 ways to help deal with allergies. There's over-the-counter treatments like nasal spray and antihistamines, and allergy shot can also help, and you can try to avoid what triggers allergies.
Well, if none of this works for you, go see an allergist, because there are other therapies that can be used.
That brings us to our question this morning. Do you suffer from allergies? So far, 67% of you say yes you do. 33% of you say no you don't. I'm on the no side, but I've got a lot of family at home that is on that yes side. So we want to hear from you. Make sure you vote through our website, through the app, and of course, take part in discussion, maybe some of your allergy remedies in our Facebook page.
That's true.
7-day forecast. All right. The good news is on the allergy count, by the way, it is down for now, and it's expected to go lower. We also have unseasonably warm temperatures as we hit the lower to mid-80s. Couple of days of 70s. We'll stay mostly clear and dry throughout the week, watching rain chances by midweek next week. But our overnight lows are right about where they should be this time of year, as they hover around the lower 50s and upper 40s.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour. On the KOAM Morning News, students were hoping that they could have a homecoming dance, but some unexpected visitors, well, now they have to reschedule it.
Plus, while some mourn Shinzo Abe, others are protesting his state funeral. One of the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, members of the public gathered in Tokyo to pay final respects to former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, hours ahead of his state funeral. Mourners lined up outside Kudenzaka Park near the state funeral venue and received queue tokens to access the area to lay flowers at 2 memorial sites set up by the government. Japan has strengthened its police presence ahead of the state funeral, as delegations from the U.S. and other countries will be in attendance. And protesters gathered in Japan's capital city to rally against the state funeral for former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Demonstrations have been held in the weeks leading up to the event, with some protesting what they see as an exorbitant use of public funds. The funeral is expected to cost taxpayers some $12 million US dollars. At least 7 people were killed after a fire broke out in the basement of a shopping mall in the South Korean city of Daejeon Monday. According to fire authorities, the blaze broke out in the early hours of Monday before the mall's scheduled opening. The fire was not extinguished until well into the afternoon. 7 people who died were confirmed workers. Cracks could be showing in Iran's system of Islamic law following the death of a 22-year-old, allegedly at the hands of the morality police. Greg Pelcott has more from London.
Violent protests are still spreading throughout Iran following the death of a 22-year-old woman in the custody of Iran's morality police. The woman died shortly after being detained for not wearing properly a headscarf in public. Officials say she had a heart attack, but she was in good health and had no underlying medical conditions. Demonstrations are now taking place in all of Iran's 31 provinces, and activists say for the first time in decades, they see a chance to change the system.
Hijab is a tool to control women, and through women to control the whole society, like the Berlin Wall. If we tear this wall down, the Islamic Republic won't exist.
But it won't be easy. More than 36 have died in these protests so far, and Iranian officials are clamping down on internet use and public gatherings, threatening an even more violent crackdown in the coming days.
If you don't stop your shameless crimes, you must be ready for a decisive response and a heavy blow by brave revolutionary people and the mighty Islamic system.
The protesters getting plenty of support from overseas. Demonstrations spreading to dozens of cities around the world over the weekend, including here in London, where 12 people were arrested, and several American cities.
We don't like this government. We don't want this government. This is a dictatorship. There is no freedom for women.
Iran is also lashing out at the West, claiming America's support for the protests will not go unanswered. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
We got a little time for some weather trivia this morning, so we're going to ask this question now and bring you the answer here in a couple of minutes. So, from 1967 to 1969, a city in which of these states held the record for the most consecutive days of sunshine at 768 of them? Is it Florida, California, Texas, or Louisiana? We'll have that answer here in a moment. Skywatch Storm Tracker locally is clear. Watching Category 3 Hurricane Ian right now on the coast of western Cuba, getting ready to move back into the Gulf and head toward Florida, which we can see here. These are hurricane warnings in this light reddish color from Tampa to Fort Myers. Tropical storm warnings for the dark red colors, which is a good chunk of the Florida Peninsula. Here's the latest on Ian. Winds at 125 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour short of being a Category 4 storm as it continues to chug off into the Gulf from Cuba. So this is where it is now, expected to intensify to Category 4 strength with winds of 140 miles an hour, and then it is aiming right at Tampa right now, expected to make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. Of course, we'll have the latest on Ian as it continues to track toward Florida. Our weather is considerably calmer. We are 53 degrees in Joplin right now under clear skies. We have 49 Yates Center, Chanute, 50 Parsons, 50 Miami, and 50 in Neosho as we start this day. We've been discussing allergies this morning, of course, on our allergy outlook. Got a 5.7 out of 12 today, a 5.9 out of 12 tomorrow for the pollen count, but it starts to go down in the next few days if the trends hold, which is good news. 49, a little cool but clear when the kids get on the bus at 7, when the kids are coming home, warmer. 82, I saw something on Facebook. Today is the day where you wear a sweater in the morning and regret it by the afternoon. It will be 82 at 3 o'clock and sunny skies. Going through the rest of today, a little something itchy. This little earpiece, it's very handy, but I tell you, it can be irritating. 87 degrees, mostly clear skies today. Will be mostly clear tonight. Temperature will drop back down to 53 degrees for an overnight low. Our future track has absolutely nothing to show us over the next several days. It's not until next week that we get an opportunity to have some kind of rainfall. Now, back to our weather trivia question. Which state had a city that had 768 consecutive sunny days? Well, if you guessed Florida, you would be right. It was St. Petersburg that held that record from February 9th of 67 to March 17th of 69. Now, on to the 7-day forecast where we stay clear, we stay dry. Temperatures are unseasonably warm through the week, mostly in the lower to mid 80s, but our overnight lows are seasonable as they range from the upper 40s to lower 50s. We're back with more right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A two-car crash in Crawford County claimed the life of a Missouri man. Authorities responded to a crash Saturday just 2 miles north of K126. They say Edward Nutt was driving east on East 570th Avenue north of K126 when he ran a stop sign and hit a car driven by 19-year-old Rigby Bourne of Girard. Nutt died at the scene. airborne had serious injuries. One man is dead following a crash in Berry County, Missouri. Authorities say 53-year-old Dale Roller of Cassville was driving on Highway 76 in Cassville when he crossed the center line and struck another car head-on. He died at the scene. Flu season is around the corner, kicking off in October, and the Newton County Health Department has only one case of flu reported so far. The health department says it's still hard to predict the flu season, but as COVID cases are down from last year, it may possibly lead to more flu cases. That's because many of the precautions we took to protect against COVID also protected us from the flu. Officials recommend taking the flu vaccine in October as it gives about a 6-month coverage, but also has time to kick in before more cases appear. People can take both a COVID booster and a flu vaccine, even on the same day. Well, Joplin's Dream Theater troupe is almost ready for its next production, and later this week the troupe will perform The Haunting of Hill House. It's based on the novel by Shirley Jackson about a small group of people who are brought to Hill House, which is known as a place of evil, in order to research it. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
We've got a very fall-like start to the day today. We've got some 40s, so 49 Yates Center, Chinook, 48 Iola, 46 Fort Scott, 51 Carthage, 53 Joplin, and 50 in Miami as we start the day. Allergies are considerably better than what they have been here lately. We're at a 5.7 out of 12 for today and a 5.9 out of 12 for tomorrow. A little bit higher, but the long-range forecast shows pollen counts dropping, which is a good thing. Kids getting on the bus, a little chilly, 49, mostly clear, and then it'll warm up nicely to unseasonably warm temperatures, 82 mostly clear at 3 o'clock. Now going through the rest of today, we will warm up to an unseasonably warm high temperature of 87 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Heading into tonight, our overnight lows are seasonable, which is the interesting thing about this forecast, so we drop back down to 53 under mostly clear skies. And that 7-day forecast. So we've got 77 tomorrow and 78 Thursday. Those 2 days, they're still warmer than where we should be, but they're cooler. Otherwise, we're in the lower to mid 80s for most of the week under clear skies, so that's unseasonably warm. But our overnight lows right on track, the upper 40s to lower 50s as we head through the rest of the week, and then maybe some rain chances by the middle of next week. We're back with more right after this.
Well, for some California high school students, they were hoping this year's homecoming would be a return to normalcy.
But that wasn't the case after the dance had to be postponed because of bats in the gym. Shantae Passmore has the story.
You guys were doing good at the football game, though.
Well, it's not homecoming without a dance. Yet the party got postponed when an uninvited guest snuck into Davis Senior High School's North Gym.
I was kind of just like, bats? Like, that's kind of crazy.
The district announced it learned Friday about the furry critters. After consulting with wildlife experts, it could not get the bats to leave in time for Saturday's dance. Wildlife Rescue and Rehabilitation Group, Northern California Bats, suspects the school is dealing with Mexican free-tailed bats.
These guys tend to be the culprits in the buildings.
Especially during migration in the spring and fall. The recent weather whiplash may have thrown them off track. Perhaps they wandered in the gym looking for food or possibly shelter. Whatever the reason, Yolo County's Animal Services can't remove them from the rafters, though it usually does remove bats from people's homes.
Where people are sleeping is the biggest concern, or young children, pets, things that can't tell you that they've come in contact.
The CDC reports bats are one of the most commonly reported rabid animals in the U.S. and are the leading cause of rabies deaths in Americans. While the school waits for the bats to leave, students anxiously await when they'll hit the dance floor.
So many things just kind of like thrown at us that now it's just kind of like we need to go with the flow, find the best in every situation.
Wildlife experts say if you see a bat in your home, try to confine it to one room.
And don't touch the animal without gloves. Rabies can transmit through saliva.
Interesting thing though, October is Bat Appreciation Month.
So next month, you need to start appreciating those bats if you find them in your house or your gymnasium.
Why should you appreciate them? They eat mosquitoes.
We had a bat in Joplin High School's auditorium my freshman year. It just came out in the middle of an assembly and just started flying around the place.
I know bats have taken up residence at one of the buildings at Pitt State, and they like the Colgan Gymnasium as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe there's
we actually built a bat box to try to attract them to come and live in our backyard because they eat mosquitoes.
Do they do it?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, hey, we've got another check of your forecast right after this. We are continuing to watch Hurricane Ian this morning. You can see the eye of it over western Cuba right now. It's expected to move back into the Gulf of Mexico. We've got hurricane warnings from Tampa to Fort Myers, tropical storm warnings for a good chunk of the Florida Peninsula. And as we look right now, we're looking at winds of 125 miles an hour as of the latest update, makes it a Category 3 storm. And in addition to that, it's expected to intensify to Category 4. And Category 4 only requires 130 mile an hour winds, so it's getting close to that status right now. The other concern is once it enters the Gulf and gets off of Cuba, it's aiming right for Tampa, expected to make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. The first time in about 100 years that Tampa's taken a direct hit from a major hurricane. So we'll continue to watch that over the next couple of days. It's set to make landfall early Thursday morning. Our area, much calmer and cool this morning, very fall-like, 51 degrees, clear skies. We have 49 Yates Center, Chinook, 50 Parsons, 52 Columbus, and 50 in Neosho as we start the day. Allergies are doing better than what they have been, but to the bus stop forecast, 49 at 7 a.m. under clear skies. Kids getting off the bus, we're looking at 82 and clear skies. Going through the rest of today, we'll reach an unseasonably warm high of 87 degrees, and into tonight, we're mostly clear again, a seasonable low of 53 degrees. More of the KOAM Morning News coming your way after this.
Coming up, more people turn to the option of food pantries to help them make ends meet. Our own Jalen Banks takes us inside one such food pantry that's hungry to make a difference.
We are calm and clear around here, but we've got hurricane warnings from Tampa to Fort Myers in Florida. The latest on Ian and our forecast coming up.
Also, the Southwest City Police Department welcomes a new police officer to the force, and he's got 4 legs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got a lot going on with Hurricane Ian. And honestly, again, it's the major system in the U.S. right now. Most of the U.S. is calm and quiet, but Florida, not so much. So we've got hurricane warnings from Tampa to Fort Myers in that slightly lighter red color, and that darker red color is tropical storm warnings for a good chunk of the peninsula. And this is a look at Ian right now as it's sitting over the western edge of Cuba. It's a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 125 miles per hour, and it is expected to intensify into a Category 4 hurricane later today. It's only 5 miles an hour away from being a Category 4 storm at this point. By the time it gets into the Gulf, it's looking to make a direct hit on Tampa. And so we are, of course, monitoring the situation. It's expected to be Category 3 by the time it hits Tampa. First time in about 100 years that Tampa's taken a direct hit from a major hurricane. So all eyes on Ian. Now, locally, all eyes are needing sunglasses because we are going to be clear. We're clear right now, 51 in Joplin. We got 48 Iola, Pittsburgh, 50 in Carthage, 49 Neosho, and 46 down in Grove. Allergies have improved, by the way, and they're 5.7 out of 12 on the pollen count today, 5.9 out of 12 for tomorrow, and expected to go down as the week goes on. So that's a good thing for allergy sufferers because that's something we're talking about this morning. 49 at 7 a.m. when the kids get on the bus, mostly clear skies. We hold on to mostly sunny skies, 82 by 3 o'clock. We're going to be unseasonably warm today with an afternoon high of 87 under mostly sunny skies, but then our lows will be quite seasonal as we'll drop back down to 53 with clear skies tonight. We'll talk about our 7-day forecast here in just a couple of minutes.
All right, sounds like a plan. A lot to follow down there in Florida, that's for sure.
Yeah, and again, you know, I mentioned this yesterday. The folks at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, even they've said really the only thing they're tracking right now is Ian. Most of the lower 48, calm, quiet. Some showers and storms out there, but nothing like what Florida's about to get.
Our eyes are on the eye of the hurricane. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the Missouri House Speaker urges the U.S. Attorney in Kansas City to shut down a gay boarding school, accusing the Christian school of, quote, what amounts to organized crime against children. Republican Rob Vesco sent a letter to U.S. Attorney Teresa Moore. Vescovo wrote, the state efforts to close the school have failed, and the local prosecutor has failed to take action to protect the boys who attend the school in Stockton. He says the situation is more far-reaching and contains more deeply rooted corruption than we're able to address solely at the state level. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt's office accused the school of allowing someone on the state registry for child and abuse and neglect to work there and allege systemic abuse. Hurricane Ian could be the biggest storm to make landfall in a century. Florida residents have begun bracing for Ian's arrival. The storm has grown significantly in the past 24 hours and, as Chris said, is expected to develop into a Category 4 storm with 140-mile-an-hour winds. It's been more than a century since a major hurricane directly hit Tampa. But officials there say the region's luck may have run out and more than 300,000 people may be forced from their homes. We'll have more on the arrival of Hurricane Ian later in the show. Area health departments get ready for flu season, which is just around the corner. The Newton County Health Department has only one case of flu reported so far. Health Department says it's still hard to predict the flu season, but as COVID cases are down from last year, it may possibly lead to more flu cases. That's because many of the precautions we took to protect against COVID also protected us from the flu. Officials recommend taking the flu vaccine in October, as it gives about a 6-month coverage, but also has time to kick in before more cases appear. People can take both a COVID booster and a flu vaccine even on the same day.
If you need the COVID booster and a flu vaccine, it is okay to take those on the same day at the same time. CDC does recommend that, and so it's fine. There's nothing to worry about. If you need both of those vaccines, you can get them.
Health Department hopes to have flu vaccines in about a week, but some pharmacies already have them available for residents. Missouri Governor Mike Parson declares September Hunger Action Month. Crossline Ministries in Joplin serves as a food pantry and continues to battle against hunger. One Crossline's official says due to inflation, they've seen an increased number of people seeking help from the food pantry.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we're hearing from families coming into Crosslines right now is just that the cost of everything is higher currently. So if you're a family, working really hard and kind of living paycheck to paycheck, not putting a lot up, then all of a sudden now, I mean, it's maybe not even getting by.
Crosslines also offers clothing and other household items. Coming up later in the show, our own Jalen Banks takes us to Crosslines to dig deeper into this story. One local community celebrates the arrival of a new police officer to the force, and he is one of the four-legged variety. Southwest City Police Department announced its new Canine officer, Rocco. Rocco is a special addition to the force because he is the city's first canine. Handler says Rocco is going to be a very busy dog.
And then we started doing narcotics detection, which consisted of a lot of building searches, a lot of hide and finds kind of stuff. And then we went into his apprehension work, which was a whole nother ball game unto itself.
Businesses and private citizens raised more than $21,000 to help bring in Rocco and train a handler. On this date, back in 1962, Rachel Carson's watershed work, Silent Spring, was first published. Originally serialized in the New Yorker magazine, the book shed light on the damage that man-made pesticides inflict on the environment.
Its publication is often viewed as the beginning of modern environmentalist movement in America. Silent Spring did not call for an outright ban on DDT, but it did argue that they were dangerous to humans and other animals, and that overusing them would dramatically disrupt ecosystems. Carson made a slew of media appearances and testified before President John F. Kennedy's Science Advisory Committee, finding more supporters than detractors.
Though she died only 2 years after the book's publication, the movement she helped popularize blossomed over the next decade.
Certainly an important movement that she did make. And I was looking up the National Hurricane Center website. Get the latest information on Ian. It is still trying to load right now. This is a live look down in Florida right now. Some of Florida being hit by the outer bands of Ian, but the main storm still not there yet. National Hurricane Center site, it's been trying to load for a couple of minutes and it is not doing so.
It's busy.
It is quite busy down there. Our 7-day forecast, not nearly as busy. We'll stay unseasonably warm. Temperatures in the lower to mid 80s, save Wednesday and Thursday, but that's still warmer than where we should be. But overnight lows about on track for this time of year as they dip back into the upper 40s to lower 50s.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Florida prepares for the coming of Ian.
Hurricane Ian is likely to become a Category 4 storm before making landfall in Florida. I'm Cristian Benavides in St. Petersburg, where a storm of this magnitude has not made landfall in over a century.
And itchy, watery eyes, runny nose, can't stop sneezing. Does this sound familiar? It's allergy season. We want to know how your allergies are doing this fall. We'll let you weigh in. And all eyes turning toward the midterm elections.
Democrats and Republicans redrawing congressional districts could sway who controls the House. I'm Skyler Henry in Florida with the impact of redistricting ahead of the midterm elections.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning and more weather in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, looking ahead to the upcoming midterms, several political races across the country will be front and center. One big question is how redrawing congressional maps, which happens every 10 years after the census, will affect battles for seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. Skyler Henry spent time in Jacksonville, Florida for a look at how redistricting is impacting races there and nationwide.
In Jacksonville politics, there's a new line in the sand. This case, water.
Just in the last election cycle, where we're standing right now was in a completely different district.
That's right. This district was drawn so that those communities would have representation in Congress.
Dr. Nicholas Seabrook, a professor at the University of North Florida, says Republicans in control of the state legislature have been redrawing the congressional map, showing how one party often keeps the upper hand. The move split Jacksonville along the St. Johns River and forced Democratic Congressman Al Lawson to run in a different district, one that leans Republican. But it isn't just the GOP. Democrat majority legislatures have also redrawn their congressional maps, both in Illinois and in New York, where redistricting forced longtime Democratic representatives Jerry Nadler and Carolyn Maloney into a primary face-off that will leave Maloney out of a job. Back in Florida, the changing map may impact more than political strategy. Some are concerned it's suppressing votes.
That GOP plan was intended to affect a partisan advantage. However, in the process, it diminishes African Americans' ability to elect candidates of their choice in northern Florida,
leaving voters to question and challenge their new districts in court.
It's something that I think has become more prevalent recently as the tools and the data and the technology for gerrymandering districts has become more sophisticated.
And these new local battle lines underscore control of Congress is what's at stake. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Jacksonville, Florida.
That's a look at one of today's top national stories. Let's send it over to Chris for another look at your forecast.
All right, we are again tracking Hurricane Ian, a Category 3 hurricane on the verge of being a Category 4 as it moves over western Cuba. If you look in this loop, outer bands already hitting southern Florida, and we've got hurricane warnings in these red colors from Tampa to Fort Myers and tropical storm warnings for a good chunk of the Panhandle. And we also just got this guy here, a tornado warning. Which, of course, tornadoes are a major concern for during hurricanes down in the Florida Keys until 6:15 our time. So still a very dangerous situation. Hurricane Ian is a Category 3 with winds of 125 miles an hour. At 130, it becomes Category 4. And this is its track. So right now over western Cuba, and it will continue to move north into the Gulf before it starts to make a slightly northeasterly curve. It will be Category 4 later today is the expectation, and it will be a Category 4 getting close to Florida, but it's expected to make landfall as a Category 3, and it's aiming right for Tampa. As we've mentioned, it's the first time in about 100 years that Tampa's taken a direct hit from a major hurricane. So definitely a dangerous situation down there that we will continue to watch. Locally, the good news is we're considerably calmer and quieter. In fact, most of the lower 48 is that way. Traffic picking up on Rangeline. We got 51 degrees in Joplin, mostly clear skies. Fall-like temperatures across the area. 48 Iola, Pittsburgh, 50 Columbus, 49 Neosho, and 46 to start the day in Monette. Kids getting on the bus this morning, 7 a.m., 49, mostly clear, so a little bit cool, but you don't want to bundle up too much because when they get home, it's going to be 82 at 3 o'clock with mostly sunny skies. And that's going to be the trend for today as we remain mostly sunny, and it will eventually warm up to a very unseasonably warm 87 degrees. But our overnight low, right about where it should be for this time of year, will drop back under mostly clear skies to 53 degrees. And our 7-day forecast doesn't have a lot to show us, unfortunately. We need rain, but it's just not there. We stay unseasonably warm all week long. 77 Wednesday, 78 Thursday. We return to the lower to mid 80s, but our overnight lows right where they should be for this time of year in the upper 40s and lower 50s. And then the 10-day forecast, it's a very slight chance, but we're looking at some rain chances by Tuesday of next week. Hopefully those chances increase because we absolutely need the rain. And if anything, it brings the temperatures during the day down to fall-like conditions. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News coming your way. Hurricane Ian continuing to churn and burn across western Cuba, and it will intensify as the day goes on. So we got hurricane warnings from Tampa down to Fort Myers, tropical storm warnings for most of the panhandle, and the outer bands already making their way into southern Florida right now. Look at Ian as it stands. Winds are 125 miles an hour, making it a Category 3 hurricane, a strong Category 3, because at 130 it becomes a Category 4 storm. And you can see a very well-defined eye wall on this radar loop. All right, as it moves off of Cuba, it'll get into the warm waters of the Gulf, intensify to a Category 4, and then it is expected to take aim right at Tampa. And it's supposed to be looking at a Category 3 hurricane by the time it reaches Tampa. This will be early Thursday morning, so 2:30 or so our time. And this is the first time in about 100 years that Tampa has taken a direct hit from a major hurricane. Here in our area and across most of the lower 48, we are calm, quiet, and cool. 51 rather. Almost felt like 41 this morning, but 51 degrees in Joplin right now. We do have some 40s out there, though. 49 Chanute, 48 Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton, and Lamar. 50 in Carthage, 49 Neosho, Miami, and 48 in Welch as we start the day. Allergies, the pollen count down, which is still good news. 5.7 out of 12 today, up a little bit, 5.9 out of 12 tomorrow, but it's forecast to go lower as the week goes on. Kids getting on the bus, don't dress them too warmly, and you'll see why in a minute. 49 and mostly clear this morning at 7 a.m. And then by the time they get home at 3, we're looking at mostly clear and 82 degrees. And we'll head for an unseasonably warm high of 87 degrees across the area as we stay mostly sunny. And heading into tonight, we stay mostly clear with our seasonable low of about 53 degrees. And the 7-day forecast is short and sweet. We stay mostly clear all week long, unseasonably warm. Temperatures mostly in the lower to mid 80s. And overnight lows are seasonal in the upper 40s to lower 50s. And as we've been talking about, Hurricane Ian now passing over the west end of Cuba this morning, drenching the island with heavy rains and a storm surge that could be as high as 14 feet. Ian on track right now, bringing it to Florida. Christian Benvides reports.
Up and down the west coast of Florida, people are bracing for the arrival of Hurricane Ian.
They say mandatory evacuation. It's time to go.
Ian has grown significantly in the past 24 hours and is expected to develop into a Category 4 storm with 140-mile-an-hour winds.
Property damage and these things, it's terrible that would happen in a storm, but we can fix that. We can help rebuild, but you got to take care of yourself.
It's been more than a century since a major hurricane directly hit Tampa Bay, but officials there say the region's luck may have run out.
This is not a drill. Be prepared for anything.
The National Hurricane Center says Ian's exact path is still uncertain, but even if the eye stays offshore, a 10 to 15-foot storm surge is still likely to inundate the Tampa-St. Petersburg area.
That is a tremendous amount of water. You do not want to decide to evacuate when you see water coming under the door of your home.
As many as 300,000 people may be forced from their homes. Christian Benavides, CBS News, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Ian passing over the western end of Cuba this morning. This is a live look from Florida right now, and of course we'll have some more live looks as we head into Thursday morning. The Cuban government anticipating widespread flash flooding and mudslides and has set up 55 shelters as a precaution. We're back with Health Watch after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, new research published in Biology Methods and Protocols finds certain underlying conditions are much more likely to result in death from COVID-19. They include degenerative neurological diseases, dementia, and severe disabilities. Conditions left out of conventional risk assessments because doctors do not associate them with respiratory injury or weakened immunity. Anxiety during pregnancy may lead to earlier childbirth. Researchers at UCLA found pregnancy-related anxiety in the third trimester was most strongly associated with earlier births, but general anxiety in the first trimester also upped the risk. Study authors suggest doctors screen patients at those times. And mental health issues can speed up the aging process. That's according to American and Chinese scientists who found psychological factors like loneliness or being unhappy added more than 1.5 years to biological age and accelerated aging more than smoking. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
All right, still watching Ian, of course, as it continues over western Cuba. Category 3 hurricane expected to intensify to Category 4 later today and looking to hit Tampa head on as a Category 3 early Thursday morning. Locally, we are much better off. We are calm and we are fall-like up here. 51 degrees with a light south breeze in Joplin. We've got 49 Yates Center, 46 Fort Scott, 47 in Pittsburgh, and 50 in Columbus as we start the day. Kids getting on the bus, don't bundle them up too much. Send them with a jacket, but make sure it's not too heavy. 49 this morning, so cool and clear. But then we're unseasonably warm when they get off that bus. 82 by 3 o'clock. And we'll remain mostly sunny throughout the day, unseasonably warm as well, with an afternoon high of 87 degrees. And heading in tonight, we'll eventually drop back to an overnight low of 53 under mostly clear skies. We stay mostly clear and unseasonably warm all week long, with overnight lows fall-like in the upper 40s and lower 50s. And on the extended forecast, you can see where we're watching maybe some rain by next week. Hopefully we see more rain by next week, and then temperatures get very fall-like by the middle of next week. We're back right after this.
Coming up, more people turn to the option of food pantries to help them make ends meet. Our own Jalen Banks takes us inside one such food pantry that's hungry to make a difference.
We are clear, calm, and cool across the 4 states. Mild later today. We'll have our forecast and the latest on Ian coming up.
And the Southwest City Police Department welcomes a new police officer to the force, and he's got 4 legs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So there's a lot going on in Florida as they prepare for Hurricane Ian. You know, locally, we're calm. And that's one of the things we've talked about. Even the weather folks in Norman, Oklahoma that handle the nation said they really don't have a lot to track across the lower 48. So all eyes are on Ian right now. And this is Ian right now, as you can see behind us, a strong Category 3 hurricane over western Cuba right now, 125 mile an hour winds. At 130, it becomes a Category 4 storm, which is what is expected to do later today. So this is where it is right now, moving north at 12. It'll eventually get out over the Gulf, strengthen to Category 4 strength, and then it makes a direct run toward Tampa in the latest forecast tracks. 100 years since Tampa's taken a direct hit from a major hurricane, expected to make landfall as a Category 3 storm. And of course, as you saw, just real quick on this, I mean, you can see how big this thing is. I mean, southern Florida already being impacted by the outer bands of this storm. So landfall is when the eye actually reaches land. It's not necessarily when the hurricane is impacting land. In our area, the sun's slowly starting to come up. 51, mostly clear in Joplin. A little cooler in some places. 46 Fort Scott, 47 Pittsburgh, Nevada, 50 Lamar and Carthage, and 49 Neosho as we start the day. Kids getting on the bus. It's going to be cool. 49 at 7 a.m. Mostly clear skies. 82 when the bus brings them back. Mostly clear, and we'll stay mostly clear and unseasonably warm today. Sunny skies. 87. We're cleared again tonight with a seasonable low at least, dropping back down to 53. And we'll take a quick look at our 7-day forecast, and it's easy enough to take a quick look because it's pretty straightforward for the next few days.
I was kind of hoping in 4 or 5 days that we would get a little bit of rain, as remnants of this hurricane, but it looks like it's just going the wrong direction.
Yeah, Ian's going to turn back toward, in fact, if we have a couple of seconds, I can back this up because that forecast track we have actually projects it out beyond Tampa. We've just been stopping at Tampa at its landfall point. But as you can see, it's going to track back over toward the southeast and into southern Georgia. So we won't see anything from this system on its current track, unfortunately, because the thing is we need rain. And we need it badly across the area. And our best chance is Tuesday next week. And even that is a low-end chance right now.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, a two-car crash in Crawford County takes the life of a Missouri man. Authorities responded to a crash Saturday just 2 miles north of K126. They say Edward Nutt was driving east on East 570th Avenue north of K126 when he ran a stop sign and hit a car driven by 19-year-old Rigby Bourne of Girard. Nutt died at the scene. Bourne had serious injuries. One local community celebrates the arrival of a new police officer to the force, and he is the four-legged variety. Southwest City Police Department announced its new canine officer, Rocco. Rocco was a special addition to the force because he is the city's first canine. The handler says Rocco is going to be a very busy dog.
Traffic in and out of other states. We have a lot of drug traffic come through our community. And that'll be main port. He's also going to be trained in tracking. He's not quite there yet. He is on suspect apprehension, so if we have a runner, he's the fastest one in the crew.
I bet he is. Well, businesses and private citizens raised more than $21,000 to help bring in Rocco and train a handler. With the cost of goods and services high because of inflation, people have turned to food banks and pantries. KOAM's Jalen Banks looks at how one organization is helping in the fight against hunger.
Governor Mike Parson declared September is Hunger Action Month. The goal? To raise awareness to fight against hunger and food insecurity. Crosslines Ministries in Joplin is a part of that mission and serves as a food pantry in the area.
Yeah, so we have a lot of people in our community that we're already paycheck to paycheck, and then this year with inflation and whatnot, we've seen more first-time clients at Crosslines than maybe ever before.
Not only are customers facing challenges with groceries, but pantries as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky part. Not only is the cost of food purchasing up for the individual, but for food pantries, it's cost us a lot more now too. We're seeing as much as a 30%, sometimes on some orders 40% increase in the cost of purchasing food as opposed to what we were spending just a year ago.
They have also seen a decrease in donations.
Because of the effects of inflation, we're seeing less donations right now, especially from individuals than we have before. So it's a difficult time right now. We're having like individuals, like households, we're having to pinch our pennies and try to weather this time.
Despite the issues, the organization wants people to know that places like Crosslines are an important resource.
And parents, families that just really are struggling, and they just need help with so many different things. And a lot of people that come in here, they don't realize everything that we have, and they're very appreciative, and you can just tell that a weight's been lifted off when they leave.
In Joplin, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Crosslines also offers clothing and other household items. Well, this morning we're discussing fall allergies.
Yeah, it's officially fall. It's the time for the leaves to start changing color, pumpkins, apple picking, all sorts of cool stuff. Unfortunately, it's also time for seasonal allergies.
You know you have seasonal allergies and not a cold if you experience a stuffy or runny nose, itchy, watery eyes, and sneezing.
Honestly, I think watery eyes is about the only thing that seems to differentiate allergies from a cold, but I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert. You can combat seasonal allergies with a number of different weapons, including what you see there, some over-the-counter treatments, an allergy shot like that guy or you can just not go outdoors and avoid what triggers allergies.
That isn't fun. You can also see an allergist for other therapies.
And that does bring us to our question to you. Do you suffer from allergies? Now, so far, 89% of you say that you do, and only 11% say that you don't. And I am one of the lucky few. I am in that no category.
I am too.
Good chunk of the family at home, but though, boy, they are there. And our allergy outlook looks really good, by the way. It's a 5.7 out of 12 on the pollen count today, 5.9 out of 12 tomorrow. Forecast to go down a little bit. Our temperature's not forecast to go down on the 7-day real quick. Wednesday, Thursday, 77, 78. Still warmer than where we should be, but not as warm. And otherwise, we're in the lower to mid 80s under clear skies. And then our overnight lows are the only seasonable thing on that forecast as they hang out in the upper 40s and lower 50s.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We've got 2 students from Carl Junction High School International Thespian Society hitting the studio this morning to tell us about a fundraiser that you can take part in.
And it's almost time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but we're going to head to the mothership and see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, we're talking to actress and talk show host Kelly Ripa. She's now an author with a new book. It's called Live Wire, Long-Winded Short Stories. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We've got Laylee Ogle and Riley Sprague from the Sprague. I told you I would forget.
It's okay.
I would not get it right at all. Both these ladies from the Carl Junction High School International Thespian Society, they're here today to tell us about the society, what it does, and how you can help these young actors out. So both of you, welcome to our show. Very good morning to you. Very early. Are you usually up this early in the morning?
No.
Absolutely not. I completely get it. My body says if it could sleep right now, it totally would. So I understand completely. So both of you in the International Thespian Society, Carl Junction, you've got something big coming up. What exactly have you got going on?
So we've got a fundraiser going on to support our trip because we are going to be taking a trip to
Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah, to our international convention where we get to take part in all kinds of like fun theater activities. They have like choreography lessons you can go see.
Yeah, and it's working completely with professionals, so it's a really great opportunity.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So how important is that opportunity for you two to be able to get for your group to get up there and have this?
It's super important to us anyways because, so I'm a senior this year. We can get scholarships for going up there. We can, I mean, it's just, if you want to go into this for a career, it has all kinds of different experiences that you get to go see and figure out, oh, like I'd really enjoy doing this, but maybe not this part.
It's also something that we haven't been able to go to in a while because of COVID. So this will be the first time going in a while.
So that makes it even more important because there's been some students who have missed out over the last couple of years because of the pandemic. So, and with this experience, you mentioned that you can get scholarships out of this, and if it's something you want to pursue long time, is this something that either of you are interested in doing long term?
I've considered it. I don't think I'm going to. Maybe not for a career, but definitely like on the side. I'm wanting to go into elementary education.
Okay.
And I'm wanting to go into psychology, but I do want to do like local productions. I think those would be a lot of fun.
And I know I've got some friends, they've got, their full-time jobs, and on the side they manage the local productions, so that can be a lot of fun and gives you something different to do. And in terms of being an elementary teacher, I feel like acting may be something that a skill you might need a few years down the road. It's interesting. There's an old Don Henley song about our business where he says that he could have been an actor, but he wound up here in television news. And so that's kind of how we feel. We could have been actors, but this is good enough. So you've got a fundraiser for this, though, because this is not necessarily a free trip for you all to go up there.
No.
So what kind of fundraiser are you doing? Where are you doing it at?
In CC's in Joplin, we will be doing a fundraiser, and it will be us basically being servers. We're going to be helping out, and we're going to be taking like plates off tables and refilling drinks, and any of the tips will go to us, and then we're also going to get a portion of CC's sales.
All right. Well, that's a pretty good day. CC's is a pretty busy place. I mean, who doesn't enjoy a pizza buffet?
It's a really great opportunity.
We will also, a good chunk of us will be in costume. And then are we going to have like music playing? Right?
Yeah, I think though we will have music playing as well, and we'll just be kind of dancing around.
Okay. Any specific costumes you all are wearing, or are you just kind of picking what you've got back at the school?
I think we're all just kind of bringing whatever we've got.
So that'll just make it a more interesting experience.
Yeah, who knows what all will be there. It'll be exciting.
You turn it into a game. Whoever can guess, what exactly it is you're supposed to be while you're there. So we had the graphic up, but what day is this? What time is this?
October 3rd from 5 to 9 p.m. And it will be one of their, it's a Monday?
I believe it's a Monday,
I believe it's Monday.
I'm going to say I don't have a calendar in front of me. I will agree with you. See, I've got voices in my head. Tim back there says that it is a Monday. So we have confirmed Monday, October the 3rd is when this is going on at CC's Pizza in Joplin. So make sure you get out there and help out. So the other thing is, though, is what you guys will be doing. It's a little bit messy. Do you have any concerns about getting your costumes messy, or is that something that you're like, it's all right?
It's all right. I'm not worried.
At all.
And you mentioned you get a portion of CC sales. You get to go up to this convention. And when exactly is this in Kansas City?
It is in January. I think it's like the third.
It's the first weekend
Yeah,
in
it's the
January.
first weekend in January.
Yeah, we'll be leaving on
It's the Thursday through Sunday.
Yes.
You both mentioned it's got to be very exciting to be able to have this. So.
Oh, yes. It's not a lot of things that a lot of schools can go to. So it's pretty awesome that we're able to.
I mean, we considered going last year, but we just weren't able to get the funds. So we're really trying hard this year to get up there.
How much does this trip cost, or do you know?
It's about $500 per person.
Yes.
And how many people we've got?
We have about 15 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it is a lot.
So
But
we need people to get out to CC's in Joplin Monday, October the 3rd from 5 to 9. And make sure you tip well, and make sure you bring your family, your friends, so you can buy as much buffet as you can possibly eat to help support these ladies and get them and the International Thespian Society at CJHS up to Kansas City. We'll have all this information on our website. Ladies, thank you so much for coming in, and we will have more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
We take this time to honor today's fourth state hero, Air Force Tech Sergeant David Mayfield. Native of Carthage, Missouri, served in Southeast Asia from 1967 to 1972 as part of the 6th Strategic Wing, 28th Bomb Wing, 552nd AWACS. Graduate of aircraft mechanics and a graduate of the NCO Academy, Mayfield earned a number of awards, including the Outstanding Unit Medal and 2 Air Force Commendation Medals. To Sergeant David Mayfield, we thank you, today's fourth state hero.
All right, it is now time to celebrate some birthdays and anniversaries on this fine Tuesday morning. And we begin in Fort Scott with Kova Altick. Now, Kova's birthday was yesterday. Shares a birthday, though, with her great aunt Marlene Breaker. And she's turning 4 yesterday. So, Kova, you know what happens. You know what this means when this happens. You get to celebrate for the entire week. So get out there and make it a beautiful week-long 4th-year birthday celebration.
All right, in Moran, Kansas, Harper Gabbard celebrating birthday number 5 this year.
And we've got Cruz Moreno in Oronogo turning 6, dressed very nicely there, Cruz. I like that outfit. A very happy birthday to you.
All right, Annalyn Kaufman celebrating 7 strong this year. Birthday was actually yesterday. Attend school in Jasper, Missouri, with birthday wish and love coming from Grandma and Grandpa.
And we've got Caitlin Ray turning 28 over in Iola. Caitlin, a happy birthday to you.
Let's stay in Iola, where Sue Warren's celebrating the big 4-0 today. Happy birthday, Sue.
And we've got Lo Winslow, 89 in Liberal. Now, Lou's birthday was on Saturday, so Lou already knows what this means, that she's going to celebrate all week long. So happy birthday to you, Lou.
All right, here's an anniversary in Carthage for us. Ron and Kathy Dees are celebrating 10 years together, 10 great years together. Congrats to the Dees.
And we've also got Grant Reed celebrating a birthday in Mulberry, Kansas, and this comes with love from your sister Rebecca. Megan Lawrence in Independence also celebrating a birthday with love from Mom. And Missy Lynch turning 35 in St. Paul. A very happy birthday and anniversary to each and every one of you.
All right, if you have a birthday or an anniversary, you can send them to us through either of those email addresses there. But don't forget the S, birthdays@KOAMtv.com.
And while you go to our website to check out the latest news, weather, and sports, why not take a minute to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club? It's your chance to get some special deals from local businesses, and of course, you just get a nice happy birthday email from us as well. Just go over to KOAMnewsnow.com, sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. Okay, we've got Ian, Category 3 hurricane. We've got hurricane warnings from Tampa down to Fort Myers that run through Friday. Tropical storm warnings for the darker red for a good chunk of the Florida Peninsula. Latest on Ian, 125-mile-an-hour winds, making it a strong Category 3 hurricane, and it is expected to be a Category 4 later today. 130-mile-an-hour winds is what it needs to be a Cat 4. It'll move off of Cuba, off of western Cuba into the Gulf, strengthen, and then takes a direct aim right for Tampa, where it's expected to make landfall officially as a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 120 miles an hour or greater and gusts over 150. Now for us locally, we have a beautiful sunrise to start the day, calm fall-like weather. We are 51 in Joplin right now with a light south breeze. Temperatures across the area, 53 Fredonia, 50 Parsons, 50 Columbus, 49 in Neosho. Kids getting on the bus this morning, it's going to be cool. We're looking at about 49, mostly clear, and then it warms up. 82, mostly clear by the time they get home. Going through the rest of today, unseasonably warm, a high of 87 degrees under mostly clear skies. Mostly clear skies heading into tonight, but a seasonable low of 53 degrees. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A two-car crash in Crawford County claims the life of a Missouri man. Authorities responded to a crash Saturday just 2 miles north of K126. And they say Edward Nutt was driving east on East 570th Avenue north of K126 when he ran a stop sign and hit a car driven by 19-year-old Rigby Bourne of Girard. Nutt died at the scene. Bourne had serious injuries. One man is dead following a crash in Berry County, Missouri. Authorities say 53-year-old Dale Roller of Cassville was driving on Highway 76 in Cassville when he crossed the center line and struck another car head-on. He died at the scene. Flu season is just around the corner, kicking off in October. The Newton County Health Department has only one case of flu reported so far. The Health Department says it's still hard to predict the flu season, but as COVID cases are down from last year, it may possibly lead to more flu cases. And that's because many of the precautions we took to protect against COVID also protected us from the flu. Officials recommend taking the flu vaccine in October as it gives about a 6-month coverage, but also has time to kick in before more cases appear. People can take both a COVID booster and a flu vaccine even on the same day. And Joplin's Dream Theater troupe is almost ready for its next production. Later this week, the troupe will perform The Haunting of Hill House. It's based on the novel by Shirley Jackson about a small group of people who are brought to Hill House, which is known as a place of evil, in order to research it. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, we are looking at a warm day for us, unseasonably warm, by the way. Afternoon high of 87 under mostly sunny skies. As we head into tonight, we'll stay mostly clear with an overnight low dropping back down to a seasonable 53. And then take a look at the 7-day forecast. As you can see, say from Wednesday and Thursday, 77 Wednesday, 78 on Thursday, we stay mostly clear, unseasonably warm. Temperatures back into the lower to mid 80s, but our lows are on track for where they should be this time of year. So they're in the upper 40s to lower 50s. Then we're watching some rain chances, hopefully by Tuesday, because we absolutely need it. And then we definitely get into fall-like weather as we head into next week.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making apple potato pancakes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Your morning news, of course, continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Hurricane Ian expected to intensify rapidly and hit Florida as a major storm this week. Coming up next on CBS Mornings, how residents are preparing for the heavy rains and high winds.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Jet HD's Andrew Myers takes us inside Joplin High School to show us what extracurricular programs are available for students.
Plus, a couple's Stranger Things themed Halloween decoration goes viral. you're going to want to see this. But that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We're going to be back here, you know when, tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it all again today at noon.